Hello everyone and welcome back to the Hodl indicator. In this video we are going to analyze Ripple. So XRP is one of the few altcoins that has made an all-time high and rallied against Bitcoin, but it is struggling to gain momentum again. And if we look at XRP against Bitcoin, so if we look at XRP against Bitcoin right here, we can see that in the weekly time frame it is struggling to break this area of resistance. And if we look at XRP against Ethereum, it is also struggling to break this dynamic line of resistance. So does that mean that the bull market is over for Ripple? I don't really think so, because if we look at Bitcoin against the USD, we can see that the cycle usually ends in November to December. So we can see November to December, November, December. Here it ended in November. And then here we still have 2 months left, at least, right? And if we look at the dominance of Bitcoin, if we go to Bitcoin dominance chart, we can see that it broke through this very important support line here, and it has topped because it reached this area of resistance. So by realizing these things, we can safely say that the Bitcoin season is over. Now we can come back and retest this breakout right here, but I don't really think that the dominance would go much higher than 60%. Moving back to XRP against Bitcoin, if we go to XRP against Bitcoin, for those reasons, and considering the fact that the dominance is going to fall soon, we can safely assume that XRP is at least going to test these highs against Bitcoin, because the dominance is going to fall, and when the dominance falls, altcoins go higher. And if Bitcoin is going to put a new high, then we can say that XRP is going to break its all-time high. Now let's go back to XRP against the US dollar and see what's going on there. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that XRP is struggling to break its all-time. Let me go to the other chart, sorry. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that XRP is struggling to break its all-time highs because it keeps rejecting this level. Now if we zoom out, we can see that this level is the previous all-time high. So here to here, sorry, here, yeah, here to here. So this level is its previous all-time high, and XRP is struggling to break this. Now, since we looked at the Bitcoin chart and realized that this cycle is going to end in either November or December, and we are going to get another high, and the Bitcoin dominance is falling, and altcoin season is coming soon, we can safely assume that we are going to break this high. So it becomes a question of not if we break this high, but how high will it go after we break this high. So one of my theories is this. If we zoom out, go to the daily chart, and we look at this part of the chart here, and then take the bar pattern from here to, let's say, here, right? If we do that, and then place it next to this chart in the weekly time frame or monthly time frame. So if we look at this and put these next to each other, we can see that the similarities are very clear. This high is here, this high is here, this low is here, this high is here, and this low is here. You can see the similarities, right? The chart is very similar to the past. The current chart, the current pattern is very similar to the past. So knowing that, we can also say that this high, this area is this area here, right? So this high here, this area here is this area here. Now, if we go here and measure this move from this top to this top, we can see that it's almost 4,700%, right? Now, 4,700% from here is highly unrealistic. It would put XRP at $176. So it's not going to happen, right? Another way is if we go from this low to this high, right? And then this high to this high, right? And then get the ratios and see, okay, and apply the same ratios. So this low to this high, 800%, and this high to this high, right? And again, it's too high, $62. We know that XRP cannot possibly go to $62, right? At least not now. So instead, we should do this. So what I like to do in these situations is to make a channel that looks like this, right? From the bottom, we do this, and then we take a hypothetical top, right? So if we delete this line, we do this. So this is the support, and this is the resistance. But if we do that, we can see that, again, the target is still high, $25, right? Now what we're doing right now is we want to find a reasonable target for XRP, not like some YouTuber clickbait target. So a reasonable target for XRP is if we do this. So if this counts as the channel high, right here you can see hits here, and the middle line is the support since XRP's correction, right? So, and we can see that it hit this line and then went down. So the target now becomes a much more reasonable $7, right? $6 to $7. This, I think, is a reasonable target for XRP. But a much lower target would be this. So if we do this instead, we can see that we have already hit our price target, right? So if we do this, right, we apply a channel here and then connect these tops, and we can see that XRP has already made its target. But I would lean towards this more, since we already have the dominance falling and all the reasons I talked about previously. So this would be a more reasonable price target for XRP. Now let's analyze the shorter time frame to see what's possible in the short term. So if we delete this, go to the shorter time frame, let's go to daily first. And if we go to the daily time frame, we can see that we have this area, right? This support area from here to here, right? This support area. And if we break lower than this support area, that would mean a retest of the $2 support. About here, right? Would be here. Here to, let's say, here, right? Approximately $2 would mean a retest of this area. So if we go here, we can see that this whole bull run in the daily time frame is held by this support, right? And if this support breaks, I would argue that the bull run would be over. So if we break this area here, we need to hold this resistance, and we cannot go back to the $2 area again. If we go there, XRP is done for. In this cycle, XRP, I think XRP would be would have its top at $3.66, and it would be over. That would be the top, and the cycle would for XRP would be over. Moving into an even shorter time frame, we can see that in the 4-hour time frame, XRP has this dynamic line of resistance, right? And in order to break it, we need to first, let's do this. So we need to first get the highs in, get the previous highs and the previous lows, like mark these, right? And in order to break this, most people say we just need to do this, right? Most people say we just need to do this, and then we're gone. So we need to break out, come back, test this as a support, and then we are gone. What I think, how these lines should break, so the breakout is successful, we need to form a high above this, right? And a low above this, while also breaking this line. So a high above this and a low above this. And then we can say that we broke this dynamic line of resistance. And if we have a pullback to this line, it's even better, right? So if we go high, make a high here, come back, make a low above this, and also have a pullback to this line, it's even better, right? Pull back to this breakout or this line, it's even better. So when we do that, what should we expect? We should expect these targets, right? We should expect these targets. And obviously, when these targets break, we should expect all-time highs. That's in the very short term. And so that is it. Those were my thoughts on Ripple. If you found it helpful, like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss an update. And let us know what you'd like us to cover next in the comments down below. All of our socials are linked down there as well. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.